Ever wonder what happens when you're born into America's most famous family, but you're desperate to carve out your own story? Today we're diving deep into the fascinating lives of Anna Roosevelt Halsted's three kids, Curtis Roosevelt, John Roosevelt Boettiger, and Eleanor Roosevelt Seagraves. Stick around to discover how these famous names navigated the tricky waters between privilege and pressure, forging paths as unique as their famous grandparents. Number 3. Eleanor Roosevelt Seagraves, born March 25, 1927. She was the eldest grandchild of FDR and Eleanor Roosevelt, and the first to experience what it meant to grow up in their legendary shadow. Eleanor moved into the White House at a young age after her parents divorced. Her childhood wasn't normal, far from it. Instead of playing hopscotch, she helped her grandmother host picnics for disadvantaged kids at Val Kill, their family estate. She learned early on that privilege carried responsibility, a lesson her grandmother Eleanor Roosevelt made sure stuck. As she grew up, Eleanor chose a quieter path, becoming a dedicated librarian and historian. She understood the power of stories, especially her own family's, and devoted herself to keeping those stories alive. Eleanor edited fascinating books like Delano's Voyages of Commerce and Discovery and the charming Val Kill cookbook, lovingly preserving pieces of family and American history for future generations. Eleanor wasn't just interested in history, she lived and breathed it. She served as an alternate member on the Roosevelt Campobello International Park Commission, safeguarding the site where her grandparents loved to retreat. Her family legacy wasn't a burden, it was a calling she embraced proudly. Politically active and fiercely loyal to her family's progressive values, Eleanor openly endorsed Barack Obama in 2008, proving Roosevelt ideals of social justice and equality still burned brightly within her. Even at age 98, Eleanor remains committed to the Roosevelt mission, staying involved with democratic causes and reminding us that one's name doesn't define them, their actions do. Number 2. Curtis Roosevelt was born Curtis Roosevelt Dahl on April 19, 1930, in New York City. Imagine this. You're 3 years old, your parents have just divorced, and you suddenly move into the White House. That's right, Curtis moved in with his older sister, Anna Eleanor, Sisty, and their mom, Anna Roosevelt Halsted, just after Grandpa Franklin D. Roosevelt became president. Overnight, Curtis went from regular toddler to Buzzy, one of America's first celebrity grandchildren. From the outside, life in the White House might seem like a dream, but Curtis, in his memoir, Too Close to the Sun, spilled the tea about living in what he called the goldfish bowl. Every moment was watched by cameras, reporters, and Secret Service agents. Can you imagine your tantrums making national headlines? Yeah, not exactly fun. Curtis didn't just witness history, he lived it. He saw the pressures his grandfather faced leading America through the Great Depression and World War II, and he observed his grandmother Eleanor Roosevelt become a global icon for human rights. These powerful role models left Curtis both inspired and burdened. Imagine living in the shadow of giants. As Curtis grew older, he decided to find his own path. After graduating from Southwestern Military Academy and attending Loyola University and Columbia University, he explored careers in advertising, education, and even served a short stint in the U.S. Army. But the big turning point came in 1964, when Curtis joined the United Nations. He spent nearly 20 years there, eventually becoming chief of the non-governmental organizations section. Curtis didn't just choose a job, he chose a cause. He helped countless groups tackle global problems, from poverty to human rights, echoing his grandmother Eleanor Roosevelt's passion for international cooperation. He truly believed that change happened through collaboration, not just politics. After retiring from the UN, Curtis didn't slow down. He wrote 2 powerful memoirs, Too Close to the Sun and Upstairs at the Roosevelts, which revealed intimate family moments and deep personal reflections. His writings painted his grandparents as not just historical figures, but real, flawed people. Curtis also became a commentator on Roosevelt family history, popping up in documentaries and public debates, always eager to share his unique perspective. His life eventually took him to England and France, where he continued teaching and writing until his passing in 2016. Number 1. John Roosevelt Boettiger. Born March 30th, 1939, in Seattle, Washington, John didn't initially live in the White House full-time like Curtis, but those early visits during World War II left deep marks. His father, Clarence Boettiger, was a reporter who tragically died by suicide when John was just 11 years old, adding a layer of sorrow that would profoundly shape his future. John's grandmother, Eleanor Roosevelt, became a steady presence, influencing him greatly. During college, he actually traveled and lived with her. Imagine getting life advice from Eleanor Roosevelt herself. Inspired by these experiences, John got involved with the Collegiate Council for the United Nations, eventually becoming its national president. Early on, his path seemed destined for politics and diplomacy, but life had other plans. While initially studying political science at Columbia, John found himself fascinated by human behavior and emotional well-being. Maybe he was searching for answers about his father's tragic death, or maybe it was his way of coping with the pressures of a famous family. Whatever the reason, John made a surprising switch. He became a clinical psychologist. For 21 years, John taught human development at Hampshire College in Massachusetts, helping young adults navigate their own challenges. He later became dean at the California School of Professional Psychology, guiding future therapists. John's work even took him to Norway, where he studied healing practices at the Modum Bad Psychiatric Center, showing his deep curiosity about mental health worldwide. John wasn't all work and no play. He also loved writing. He authored books about Vietnam War policies and even wrote a heartfelt biography, A Love in Shadow, exploring his parents' complicated marriage. Since retirement, he's maintained an online journal called Reckonings, sharing wisdom on justice, hope, and history, proving once again that Roosevelt's storytelling runs deep in the family blood. Beyond academia, John stayed deeply committed to humanitarian causes. Since 1975, he's led the Christopher Reynolds Foundation, fighting for racial justice, disarmament, better U.S.-Cuba relations, and environmental sustainability. Clearly, his grandmother's influence left a lasting imprint. John dedicated his life to building a kinder, fairer world. Today, John Roosevelt Boettiger enjoys his family in California, still sharing insights, memories, and Roosevelt values with new generations. The Roosevelt grandchildren's journeys remind us of something critical. History isn't just about famous names, it's about everyday choices, courage, and the ability to stand up for what matters most.